with the event.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I, Preeti Disodia, the teacher in charge of English Department, Shivaji College, welcome you to this annual literary fest named Litopia. Today we have with us very eminent speaker, poet, award winner dramatist, and academician Professor H. Shiv Prakash. Sir, I welcome you to this event, and we are really looking forward to hearing from you and this talks. But just before we move ahead with the proceedings of the webinar, I would like to invite our esteemed principal sir, Dr. Shiv Kumar Sehdev, to address the audience with his encouraging words. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shiva Prakash ji, my dear colleagues and students. I am very happy that Department of English has organized this webinar, and the speaker of today's talk, is a well-known personality in the field of theatre and poetry and novels, a well-known person in the literary field. So I am very happy. I am also thankful to Professor Shiva Prakash ji for sparing time for us, and I am sure that you all enjoy his talk. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Principal Sir, for your kind, encouraging words and valuable guidance and support. Thank you for being a part of our event. Now, I would like to invite Ranu, department, Ms. Ranu, to introduce Dr. Shiv. Then we can begin. Ranu, over to you.
It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this event and to have the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker for today. Professor H.S. Shivaprakash is a leading poet and one of India's finest playwrights. He's a professor at the School of Arts and Aesthetics and Jawaharlal Nehru University, a Sahitya Academy winner and recipient of several prestigious awards. Professor Shivaprakash has authored 2 books, poems, 15 plays, and 3 critical works in Kannada, which are widely discussed and translated into English, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Polish, and also several other Indian languages. His plays have been staged all across India as well as the US. He is a man of extraordinary scholarship. His academic areas of interest include theatre and literary history, medieval studies, pre-modern Indian poetry, aesthetics, Turkey studies, and he is the yes, sir.
Hello. Hello.
I think Dr. Shiv Prakash's internet went.
There were some network issues, I think.
Yeah, so he'll join again, I suppose. I think there's some network error. Let's just wait for 1 or 2 minutes and Khushbu, Yeah, he's joined again. Yes.
I think he has joined again.
Hello, Dr.
Yeah,
Shiv.
now can you hear me?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We can hear
Because there
you.
was some problem with my laptop. It was not sufficiently charged, perhaps, so it got disconnected. So I can continue from my. Let me see if I can join with my laptop. What's wrong with this? Okay, I can continue on my mobile only.
Sure, sir.
So you're able to see me.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so I've been asked to. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me over. And I would like to give a brief introduction to the South Indian epics and place them in the context of epics the world over. All great cultures produce, epic uh, literature, and there are different kinds of epics. We have literary epics, the epics which have become classical classics and also classical, like you have in ancient Greece, you have Homeric epics, and prior to that, in Babylonia, you had the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then the ancient Germanic people, Anglo-Saxon people, produced the epic called Beowulf. In India, the oldest epics widely known are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which are not just in Sanskrit. There are many Ramayanas and many Mahabharatas available in many Indian languages. So there is a classical Ramayana, the classical Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which are in Sanskrit, and these classical epics are the consolidation of hundreds, maybe 1,000 years of oral transmission of epics. For example, the Homer is not the author of the Odyssey and the Iliad, and he compiled different versions of the story, which he gathered from the survivors of the Trojan battle. And in the Ramayana, is supposed to have originated in the oral performance of Kushilavas, a semi-nomadic performance in ancient India, and we have the tribe even to this day in eastern part of Assam, and they perform their own Ramayana called Kushilava Ramayana. The innumerable Ramayanas and Mahabharatas. So there are several folk epics, which are called Ramayanas, and classical epics. And during the devotional period in India, Bhakti period, from the second millennium, a lot of devotional Ramayana and Mahabharatas were also composed, like Tulsi Das's Ramcharitamanas in North India, and Sarada Das's Sarala Bharata in Orissa, and the Kamba Ramayana in Tamil, and Adhyatma Ramayana by Eruthachan in Kerala. There's several regional Mahabharatas and Ramayanas. Apart from that, these Ramayanas and Mahabharatas are still being produced in different folk versions. I listened to, they're still being, it's not, the story of the Ramayana and Mahabharata is not over, it's still continuing in so many languages, both mainstream languages and also in tribal languages. When it comes to Europe, the famous European epics are Homer's epics, which the interesting thing about the classics, once they are written, they become the basis of the growth. They inspire a lot more creative works for centuries later. For example, the episodes from Homeric epics became the input for the great Greek drama, and the Ramayana and the Mahabharata episodes became the input for the whole of Sanskrit theatre and a lot of folk theatre like Yakshagana and Kathakali and Chow and so on. So classics have great survival value. In fact, there are two definitions of classics. I mean, epics which become classics. T.S. Eliot says that classics arrive at a time when there is maturity of language and maturity of manners, when civilization reaches the zenith, its zenith, and the language produced by, shaped by the civilization also reaches its zenith. So, according to T.S. Eliot, there's only one epic in the whole of European tradition, and that is the Roman epic, uh, Ovid's epic. And there's another definition of the classic by the later British critic Frank Camore, who says that classic is the work which need not be classical, but classic is what, because T.S. Eliot he identifies classics with imperialism, a certain evolution of an imperial state, uh, because he was fascist by conviction, whereas Frank Camore, a liberal, he says that a classic need not be classical. A classic is something that is that has a long patience with respect to time. He survives many changes, and his own example of classic is Shakespeare's King Lear, which is not considered to be classical literature. So we have to understand the relationship between classic and epics. Epics can become classical when they're consolidated, whereas when they're in a fluent stage, they are folk and tribal epics. In India, we have many of them. We have different versions of Heer Ranja epic in northwestern part of India, and in southern part of India, we have the folk epics of two Dalit communities, Malay Madheshwar Kavya and Deswami Kavya and so on. But today, I want to talk about the oldest of South Indian epic, Cillappatikaram. Now, what distinguishes Cillappatikaram from all the other well-known epics in India and the rest of the world is that in other epics, the hero is always a male. It's a male-centered world. It's the celebration of the cultural hero. For example, the Ramayana is a celebration of Rama. And somebody has argued in the classical version of Ramayana, it's Rama who is being celebrated, whereas in the folk versions, it's Sita who is being celebrated. And in the Mahabharata, it's about the valor of Pancha Pandavas, particularly the warriors, great warriors like Arjuna and Bhima, whereas in Billy tribal version of the Mahabharata is Draupadi, who is the protagonist, and not the male heroes. So it looks like the classical epics which come after a certain literary and social evolution of a society, are somehow coeval with the emergence of patriarchism, and they're imbued with patriarchic values. Whereas the epics which come prior to the formation of the masculinist patriarchic state have a different orientation, and it's interesting that the South Indian epics